Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to LCK Summer 2020. I am Atlas, on his own, in his home somewhere, joined by a man phoning in from the death realm. It is, of course, LS. How you doing, my friend? How is it casting from home yet again?
I am doing pretty good. Unfortunately, I know that you QSS'd your way out of here, so I'm gonna be by myself.
I mean, I had to. I think
that's gonna be fine.
I got 2 cats to feed. It's one of those things.
It's understandable. Yeah, it's understandable. So, no matter what, though, today is a bit of an interesting day. I don't know the last time the LCK has had a day like this, where both of the matches that are going to be taking place today, the results don't affect anything inside of the standings. So, I really do wonder if we're going to get some for fun drafts or anything of that nature sort of coming out, because I don't think Riot imposes anything against that when there's really nothing that affects the standings. So that's kind of
I mean, I was going to say that this is the day for all the marbles, and that this means everything to everyone. But I think that, sort of letting everyone know that perhaps we're going to have some for fun gaming is probably for the best, because you're exactly right. They're not exactly fighting for anything at all. We're going to be starting with Hanwha versus Sandbox. I think this is going to be a bit of like a prove yourself type situation, right? Because they're going to be playing for the right to be on a team when franchising comes around the corner. I mean, these are teams that are well and truly at the bottom of the standings and definitely want to be showing that these players are able to still, play at an LCK level. And as you can see, they're in the LCK level, right? But they're at the very bottom, as Sandbox is currently in 7th, Hanwha Life in 9th. Very, very close to last place. And as you can see, Solo One Prince played an extra game and have therefore clinched the bottom place.
That is true.
I don't know whether that's the right way of putting it, but I wanted to be as kind as possible. The thing that I really want to draw your attention to, I know that we're talking about the bottom of the standings at the moment, but I want to talk about Damwon just for 1 second, because they're at plus 27, and there are still some games that mean some stuff, ladies and gentlemen, coming up towards the end of the week, and Damwon could possibly make it to that plus 29. That is so incredibly exciting. Hasn't been done since SKT of 2015. That incredible team, Maren winning World's MVP, all that sort of stuff. So definitely some exciting stuff there based on the standings. But now we are back out of them, and we have to talk about our first matchup. And we'll see whether the Yamato magic is still going to work when there's nothing so much to play for.
And this is going to also be pretty interesting. So like what you're mentioning about Damwon can potentially clinch the grand finals. T1 and Gen G, they have some interesting stuff going up, but we'll talk about that a little bit later on. We're going to move to the points of the match between the two teams with a disappointing race. Sandbox on a 4-match losing streak after facing the West teams versus Hanwha Life Esports in a slump of a 6-match losing streak. Sandbox's last match of the summer split. Can they bring their split to a successful conclusion with a promising W? And I think it would actually be very worrisome if they couldn't get a win here, but obviously neither of these two teams going to Worlds. We don't know what it has in store for 2021 yet, obviously, with franchising and all the other stuff, so there is something bittersweet about this. This could be the last time that both of these iterations of the teams play with one another.
And we may not even see these organizations in the franchised LCK. There is a very good chance. Of course, Sandbox and Hanwha certainly very well established at this point in time. However, we don't know what is going to be in store for 2021. So I'm just looking forward to seeing what Sandbox can show us before they do depart for the off-season relatively soon. And having a look at the stats, there's not a lot of excitement here, but the 100% win rate with gold lead at 15, that's cool coming out of Sandbox. Just shows that if they're winning, they win. Which, that's a good stat.
Yeah, I mean, it is indeed a pretty good stat. And I wonder how the matchup between these two is actually going to take place here. We are on 10-16 this week, so there has been some meta change-ups, but again, maybe Hanwha Life, they were historically like the funner team with drafts and like wonky stuff coming out, and with everything surrounding this match and whatnot, perhaps we actually get some exciting drafts coming out of them here. And it would be interesting to see how Sandbox would actually manage to deal with that.
Yeah.
And, I mean, all things considered, we definitely could have a pretty long series, though, between these two.
Yeah, I actually feel like we could have a very long day, to be perfectly honest. As we are going to go over the rosters. As you can see, no real changes from what Hanwha has been fielding in the past. Yongjae's still there in the jungle with Dudu up towards the top side, and Miru in mid lane with Viper and Lehens, of course, manning the bottom lane. Definitely a lot of rookies on this roster. A lot of promise has been shown. I think Miru has certainly shown that he can stand up to a lot of our mid laners, even if they don't necessarily win. But Yongjae certainly had a tough start to his LCK career, but has gotten a little bit better. This is the Sandbox roster, of course, that you guys are very used to. Summit, On Fleek, Fate, Root, and Gorilla. And yeah, no surprises, but unfortunately, also a team that hasn't really been able to find themselves, even with, Fate establishing himself there in the mid lane. And I feel like this is a match where we've got two sort of up-and-coming mid laners that haven't quite been able to break into our top 5.
Yeah, and I mean, Fate he's been very hit or miss in a lot of the games. Obviously, he has quite a big responsibility on him, and the games do end up looking a little bit shaky. And speaking of shaky,
wow.
Summit in Summer has been very shaky. He's 9th in KDA. Now, his damage per minute is very high, damage percentage, first in the league for top laners at 29.2%. CS difference at 15. These two are actually pretty close to one another. Now, if this were spring or if it was very early summer, I would say that this is basically no contest, but Summit is looking very, very, very shaky. In summer, isolated deaths 29. That is first
he's a god
for
of
all
being
top
killed
laners.
by himself. And I think that's because Summit's having a bit of the Keen effect that we saw when Afrika was struggling the most. And it's just Summit feeling like he has to do everything by himself, which is definitely not how you want to play League of Legends. Don't trust your solo queue instincts, ladies and gentlemen. It is, in fact, a team game, and it's not about whether you're going to win or not. And Summit just feels like he can't actually, trust the rest of his teammates. I don't think that's what it's sort of like. That's what it's coming off as we get into this part of the season. So it's a little bit disappointing. And Summit also mechanically hasn't been at his true form that we've always wanted to talk about. I feel like we talk about this all the time, but it's like we want Summit to go back to the really good top laner that he was, and he's just not there. Not at the moment.
Yeah. Summit or Plummet is pretty much the die that you end up having to roll in most of these games, and we'll see which one or which version of himself ends up coming out here today. Another interesting thing to mention, by the way, about the first series and the second series. So, unlike when the games are taking place live at LoL Park, there's only actually going to be a 30-minute break between the two series. So it does not have the fixed start time of 8 p.m. KST. So keep that in mind. Depending on how this series does end up going, we're not going to get any of those 90-minute breaks. We're right into the draft, though.
Exactly.
And Hanwha Life, things seem to be going pretty standard, actually. Twisted Fate, Zoe banned, Sandbox with
a
Kalista.
Bit of a focus on the mid lane to start things off here for Hanwha, but they have the flexibility of the blue side. Kalista to be banned away from Viper is interesting, wanting to make sure that Hanwha Life don't have all that much control in the earlier stages, and that's going to be augmented by the Ashe ban. Also, that nerf to her Q didn't seem to hinder Ashe's ability to dominate a laning phase, and that's because her Q doesn't actually change at rank 1. And continuing down the marksman path, the Lucian to be taken away from Sandbox. Of course, Summit was definitely a fan of the top Lucian, but I think enemy teams would probably want him to have access to it, based on how it performed as Nidalee, the final ban.
And it seems like both of these teams are taking their bans pretty serious. Electric Bear being hovered right now, going to get locked in there for Hanwha Life.
Yep, pretty standard stuff coming into the jungle there for Yongjae. I think it's his most played champion as well, if I'm not mistaken. And yes, he's played 4 games of Volibear and then 1 game of 4 random champions after that. So definitely a big fan of the bear in the jungle. As Fate is going to be picking up his sub-mid laner's favorite champion in the Azir, with Root considering the Caitlyn now. And Root has been able to show us some carry performances on the Caitlyn. Let's see whether he's going to continue to do that here today. There's Hanwha with a few options.
We saw aiming with a monstrous Caitlyn performance yesterday in the LCK. Caitlyn has been getting picked quite a bit in recent times, and there's the Jhin to answer her. Aiming failed to really live up to the antagonist in the movie yesterday.
But he did steal a Baron
that
with a
was
curtain call.
going on.
And so that's pretty... And I actually feel like that steal was probably like not even a 50-50, because I have a feeling that that last bullet did more damage than like 2 smites. It was, he was a big boy. And we'll see whether Viper is going to be the same, as the Crocodile is also going to be picked up. Is it going to be Godzilla, or is it going to be a handbag? That is going to be the question. As Set now... I feel like Set is always picked into the Volley Bear, for better or for worse. You can understand how it works, of course. The Volley Bear ults in, and then the Set ults him back out again. And it's sort of like, where am I supposed to go? So the counter-engage options certainly are going to be there. Let's see whether the Electric Bear is going to be able to stand up to the Wrestler.
Well, we don't know where the Set is necessarily going. He does still have the ability to end up in support or top lane as well. Akali now getting banned away, and perhaps Sandbox is also just going to ban away the LeBlanc, given that Hanwha Life right now, they're very heavily focused on physical damage. As it does currently stand, they do need a big mage to come in. And here in the LCK, other traditional Azir counters are probably not going to show up, like Vel'Koz or Xerath. And so I would expect a generic LeBlanc ban to come in for Sandbox.
I think a Galio ban could also work out here, because of course Miru is a big fan of the Gargoyle. So possible they just ban Comfort instead, but it's going to be Silas that's taken off the board, not wanting to give that gentleman any Emperor's Divides of his own.
Well, we'll see what the final ban is going to be here for Hanwha Life.
Yep, already the Tahm Kench has hit the bench, as well as the Morgana now. So just not going to be able to have that added support. Bard, of course, a bit nerfed. So we'll see whether Gorilla still decides to go towards it. Wouldn't mind seeing a caster support, as Karma is still available. They could take Caitlyn Karma here if they would like it.
Karma has been nerfed a little bit, but definitely not enough to move her from Karma-centric team compositions, which the Sandbox one currently would indeed be. However, Ornn now being hovered on R4, gonna get locked in.
An old counter to the Renekton. I like it.
Yeah, and the scaling on the side of Sandbox right now, it's just so much heavier than that of Hanwha Life Esports. So I'm really curious where they're gonna try to pivot here in order to salvage this draft. And it's not even like they have options to send Renekton into mid lane and Volibear up into top lane and then pick a super mage jungler like Karthus or Evelynn or something of that nature as a means to reach the Azir.
I mean, theoretically, Echo
and
could do
Caitlyn
it
reliably.
if they wanted to do some fancy flexing.
Yeah. Likely that he's going to probably just end up in the mid lane. And they also have a Leona coming in. And so this is very bizarre because Sandbox, they have their pick of the litter for supports. They're actually going to just go with Braum. And it just feels like Sandbox, not only are they vacuum answering pretty much everything that Hanwha Life is going for, the amount of scaling on their team with the ornaments, Caitlyn going the distance, Azir going the distance, just everything is really lined up for them. I feel like this game's going to just be really hard for Hanwha Life, and Youngjae is under enormous amounts of pressure to create advantages.
Yeah, you'd hope that they're going to be focusing on the mid lane there as well, because of course you can understand the gang setup between a Echo and a Volibear, and in fact the entire top side of the map is somewhere that they could attack, but they're going to need to do it real fast. That's the scary thing. Like you say, I mean, Sandbox have built themselves a ticking time bomb of a team composition, and what I love about this comp and what I love about Caitlyn and Ornn together is that you hit the most gigantic power spike exactly when the Molten Edge comes in, generally, which is, 3 items on Caitlyn and then, ornaments starting to come in at level 14 for the Ornn. So basically you count down until that time and then you pretty much hang up your hat. You're like, well, it's looking like this is going to be a Sandbox victory, unless Hanwha already have like an 11,000 gold lead.
Man, I mean, This game, we're going to have to really pay attention to Young Jae. His initial clear, what he's able to do. Because by the time all these lanes hit level 6 and things are just very stable, I feel like it's going to be the inevitable scaling coming online for Sandbox, and it's going to be near impossible, and Viper on this Jhin does not have the easiest time with his surrounding champions to support him. It's going to be very hard for him to play.
However, you can snowball pretty hard if a Jhin gets ahead, and so let's see whether Viper can do it as we hop onto the Rift for game number 1, Hanwha Life versus Sandbox. This one isn't for all the marbles, guys. This is, in fact, for 0 marbles. No marbles are going to be allocated to anyone after this game. However, they are going to meet each other pretty early here, as On Fleek already moving forward. And first blood damage goes over to Fate.
I have to ask you, why do you say none of the marbles are on this game?
Well, I mean, what are they fighting for? Give me a marble. I demand a marble.
So you're saying they're fighting for no reason?
I'm just saying they're not fighting for any marbles. Yeah.
Okay. So do they have a reason to fight?
I mean, yeah, it's just for other things. Maybe it's trading cards. Okay. They're fighting for trading cards instead, but all the marbles are gone.
Ooh,
yeah, marbles are coming in tomorrow.
Okay.
But you're a big fan of trading cards, so maybe you're going to enjoy this series more. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I feel like this might be the second time I'm watching LCS today.
Are we going to see a Renekton go even in lane? Is that our plan? We're going to tick over to 26 minutes and he's done nothing. Oh god. Gorilla, he's going to take a little bit of damage here. As you can see, Sandbox trying to push the wave. Shield of Daybreak comes in and Gorilla takes a fair bit of damage. As Santa Claus himself just trying to get one back here onto Hanwha. Feels like a lot of focus on the lane here by Sandbox. And Hanwha are going to struggle now as the concussive blows. Not quite able to get too much done.
Grenade hurt. Bounced right on Root's head.
Did you say it bounced or does it
And they're just shoving in.
Ooh. We're asking the heavy-hitting questions here today.
Yeah, we really are. This is definitely something else. Oh, this is one of my favorites. Crash Second Wave, do nothing.
Is that what we're going to do?
I don't think that you've seen the... Yeah,
he's going to just sit in the brush and sing
one of my favorites.
I think. That's his plan.
Yeah, here we go. Crash Second Wave, do nothing. It's my favorite.
He's not doing nothing? Look at him. He's just parading around showing Summit how cool his skin is. Ooh. And it made Summit nervous. Do you see that? He missed 2 CS.
Yeah. I did notice that was something that did just transpire.
And you thought that it wasn't a good idea. Silly Billy. I'm taking the analyst role from now on.
It's totally fine. Yeah, you can.
I've forgotten how we do pod votes when we're doing remote. I know I don't need to know, but
I have a link that I have to utilize.
Ooh, very fancy.
Yeah, I have a I have a Google Doc that I have to submit.
And do you get to submit the name of the player?
Jovium.
This is what I'm thinking, you know.
No doubt.
Is it able to work? Oh, okay. We're looking for a bit of a dive here. Pre-6. In fact, level 3 on the Volley Bear doesn't exactly have his big old ability that allows him to dive. And so instead of that, he's just going to clear out this ward and be about his merry way. Top lane Scuttle Crab, probably going to be his target.
And so this is sort of what I was alluding to, and I said that we had to pay attention to Volibear in the early stages, is can he actually find any pressure or anything early? And because Dudu is just, he's pushing like his life depends on it, he's not able to pull the wave against Ornn, and Summit is just sitting in a very happy spot. Now, had he crashed wave 2 or 3 and started pulling the waves in when Volibear's pathing top lane, Summit could be in a pretty dangerous spot, but as played, everything across the map is pretty fine, and Sandbox are just, they're sitting very comfortable right now, and even down in bot lane, Viper, he's almost out of fuel, doesn't have teleport available, he's completely out of mana.
Yeah.
Summit's lane, very happy, set,
big Xanath played here on the bottom side, but Lahan's just going to get stunned up, and even Viper gets tagged. Love that outer route, layering the CC with the trap, and also Gorilla landing that Winter's Bite, stopping Viper's follow-up. So one thing I do want to talk about just a little bit here is just the amount that is on Youngjae's shoulders here, because I feel like Sandbox actually have pretty good lanes in isolation. But Hanwha do have a lot of lanes that can augment a gank in the earlier stages. So I think there's just so much on Youngjae this game to get stuff done. Otherwise, that inevitable scaling is going to come in.
Yeah. And I mean, on Fleek, his responsibility pretty much is just to prevent anything from happening. And so that's just such an easier position to be in inside of the game here as the set. So he's been farming a little bit more than Youngjae as well, but again, all he needs to do is show up as a counter or match gank to pretty much every attempt that Youngjae would make inside of the game, and from there he's going to be completely fine. So
Summit.
Ooh,
a lot of damage
here. He doesn't have any mana though.
Still, the amount of pressure that this Ornn has already is pretty devastating for Hanwha Life fans. This is a lane that has to win, right? The easiest analysis in the universe is whenever there's a Renekton lane. Has he crushed his lane by level 8? If the answer's no, then things can't be going too well. And I just feel like that timer is even shorter when it comes to Ornn, because I feel like after he has a Bramble Vest or any sort of armor item, then the lane just gets almost impossible for the Renekton to do anything. And I'm not necessarily saying that Renekton's not going to be able to keep pushing, keep farming, things like that. Of course he can, but he can't ever kill the Ornn at that stage.
Yeah. And that is going to be a pretty big problem for him. Now, the one thing Dudu did have going for him is he had yet to utilize his teleport. And so Summit is now walking back to the lane, but he's missed an entire wave, and Dudu's about to get a plate. He's also up 14 CS right now, has a call, and so he's at least trying to make the investments in that regard with everything that's going on. I mean, the gold score is still totally even, and so this is a fine spot for Sandbox to be in. No one's really shown any interest in the dragon yet. Looks like Caitlyn is actually freezing.
Oh my goodness.
Down in bot lane, and this is going to be very awkward for Viper and Lehens to try to break, so it will unlock naturally because of the proximity to the turret, and it's only a couple of spellcaster minions, but now these waves are all going to pile up, and it's piling up around when Set is going to make his way back to the right side of the map.
A bit of a battle in the mid lane where Fate and Mirror take a lot of their health bars, but nothing really going to come from it. And yeah, you're right. I actually really like stacking the wave up at exactly that time because it allows On Fleek to naturally move down towards the south and possibly put pressure on that dragon. But before that, it's looking like he's having a look for the Echo. Doesn't find him around there. Rift Herald going to be spawning in about 15 seconds. And that Bramble Vest that we were talking about has just been picked up by Summit, and that's a real feels bad, man. When you're sitting on, like, Doran's Blade, Cull, and Vampiric Scepter, and you're like, oh, I'm getting so much health back, and then all it's like, nah, no, you're not.
Yep. Definitely helps with the trading, so it feels like Summit has actually been itemizing pretty well right now. Fate actually steals away the blue buff. He's with On Fleek. Okay.
Comes out. There's the Emperor's Divide, but the Ram doesn't really find too much, and that's a great face breaker. This is a brilliant start for Sandbox. Is now On Fleek still chasing after Youngjae and Miru, who are at half health. 3 members of Sandbox still after them, but no other kills to come in. But First Blood is absolutely fine for Sandbox. This makes things even easier.
Sandbox getting that First Blood up there on the Renekton is super big because it helps Summit recover inside of the laning phase. It stunts the Renekton, which is just not a champion that can afford to get stunted, because it ends up influencing his mid-game transition so much and setting him that much further behind. And it's happening on the top side of the map, which is where Hanwha Life should have been able to achieve some sort of advantages, whether it be in the mid lane or in top lane, because the bot lane, you can just see they're not finding any success whatsoever. So Fate comes in, he gets the blue buff, he jumps over the wall, Youngjae flashes in, and Dudu not able to do anything. He gets superplexed right back into Ornn. He can't respond to any of the CC, and Youngjae's lucky that he actually didn't lose his life as well. So
Fate's dead.
All things considered.
Okay. That looks to be just a solo kill from Mirror.
Yeah, hopefully we get a replay of it. That is a very peculiar timing to die, especially because it seems like Echo didn't use anything.
Yeah, used Flash
that meaningful.
and Ult, I think.
Yeah, Fate used Flash as well, I believe? Yes, okay. So, I mean, where is Lethal here?
Oh, well, I guess it's there. Okay.
Yeah, well, that was some caster synergy. I mean, you know, we can't even see each other, but that was pretty good.
We coordinated our speechlessness. Perfect. Oh dear. Well,
This is truly
Set
exquisite.
did manage to take the Drake, so at least we were correct there. As Root and Gorilla go back to the laning phase. Slightly more than, you know, wave and a half of CS in the lead here for Root on his Caitlyn. As Viper and Lehens are doing their very best, but I don't think they're quite able to get any of the advantages that they wanted. And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that there is a Set sitting on 1-0-0, and the Bear hasn't been able to get too much done. But they did pick up the Rift Herald. So that's going to be plates going over to Dudu, and we'll see whether that's actually going to be enough to get this Renekton going.
Okay.
As, yeah, Shelly's just going to cram her face into the turret, and they should be able to get that one done. As Summit's sticking around for a long time. His teleport might actually be broken as they're not going to get the knock up. There's the on-horn as Dudu avoids it. Summit actually misses everyone with that one. That's exactly not what you want. Is now on fleek. Pops the Q, but not able to actually find the showstopper.
Well, that was definitely plummet. Is what just went on there. He missed absolutely everything that you could possibly miss, which I suppose is an achievement in itself.
It's just not the right achievement, you know? That's not the one that you want to get. Yeah. It's like when you get an achievement in a game for like dying 400 times, you're like, why would you tell me that? Yeah.
That's my favorite.
That was actually one of my favorite things about Celeste, is like looking at the amount of times that you've died on like one level. And I'm like, oh,
okay.
Oh, I died 300 times trying to do that one thing. That's great. Good to know. That game was great, by the way. If you haven't
How many
played
times did Tim the Tatman fail? Alright, well, that's totally fine. Nothing can, you know, nothing can be that much of a problem.
Do you like platformers? Are you a platformer guy?
What do you mean, like
platform
PS4
games,
and
like just
like console
I
games?
like side scrollers. As OnFleek's going to interrupt me very rudely. Get Miru, get his face broken. That's a great flash ulti. As Miru, unfortunately, not able to ult out of that one because his shadow was right next to him.
Oh, he was grabbed right there by Set. That was a combo.
Real clean.
And obviously Braum being there as well. Yeah, that was very clean by OnFleek. The execution on that. Let's just take a look at this one more time. So, Set running in at him, gets the smite facebreaker off to pull him in. Flash to get the superplex off. The Echo ultimate goes off, but it just doesn't matter. Finishes him off with a haymaker right inside of Braum's ultimate, and just a really easy kill. And Sandbox, well, they only have a 500 gold lead right now at the top lane. They're probably going to end up getting the Mountain Dragon, which is a really nice pickup for them, considering they're champions.
Yeah, then do you think we're going into Cloud Soul after that?
Okay, why do you gotta do
just
this?
Wondering. I just want to know.
You know what?
Just
we don't have to do that to the viewers. No, we're getting Infernal.
Okay, thank goodness.
We are getting Infernal. Listen, the universe understands what kind of a day this is, so trying to throw the teams a bone.
Just let me check outside real quick.
Yeah. Oh, it is
sweltering, absolutely. But I just don't know how cloudy it is. But it is very hot, regardless of whether it's cloudy. So I feel like there's equal chance of Infernal and Cloud. So I'm sorry, guys, we can't really point you in the correct direction there.
Honestly, I barely see the sun here in the Death Realm.
I've seen your tinfoil windows.
Yeah, you know, it's just it's how it is.
I get it. Sometimes you don't want curtains. Phase dive comes in. Oh, there's the Emperor's Divide. As Miru now going to have to ult back. OnFleek looking for him again. Showstopper going to be available as the Facebreaker does come in, but no flash there. And actually, OnFleek didn't quite have the ulti ready. I tell a lie. He was pretty close, but not quite close enough. Now Summit. Getting traded on here by Miru. And there's the call of the Forge God. The tower's going to fall down. Let's see whether the solo kill can come in. Bellows Breath comes down. The Brittle comes forward as Dudu just picks it up. Takes the turret and takes the top lane. And the Crocodile may just be evolving into Godzilla.
The thing that I really want to point out there is, well, it's great that Hanwha Life, they get a kill for Dudu. He handshook a trade that required Summit to botch so many things. And he did. Summit did botch it. He missed the initial Brittle auto proc. And then the follow-ups to some of his combos just not really there. And so Dudu, he ends up getting the turret. He gets a kill onto Summit. And this is just not stuff that you would expect to be happening. Miru.
3-0.
Yeah. Well, Set is becoming a very big boy, and that is very problematic because Echo is the champion that we mentioned earlier on. He's one of the champions that Hanwha Life has that can actually access the backline of Azir and Caitlyn, and, well, this Mountain Dragon, it's about to go down.
For free.
5 armor.
Soul, unfortunately, but that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, this is probably my fault. I'll take it.
It really is.
Okay, can I make it up to you?
Sure.
So, On Fleek might be looking for Lehens here. No, not going to. Why haven't we been making Pokemon references when it comes to Renekton? Because at the beginning of the game, he starts off as Totodile. It's okay, we're not going to be able to talk about it. Deadly Flourish, avoided there by Gorilla. Teleport in from Miru. Puts down the parallel convergence and Root walks straight into it, but manages to trap himself out of the way. Gorilla now over to the side. Does land his ultimate, but On Fleek not going to be breaking the face of anyone just yet. And Hanwha Life also going for Shirley here on the top side of the map, attacking sort of everywhere as Hanwha are having a slight resurgence here in this game.
So let's take a look at this. So Summit actually misses the Brittle proc, and then he eases away for no reason. Now, he casts the first part of his R, but doesn't get the damage onto Renekton. Doesn't do the Ornn combo, misses the Brittle on his W.
Yeah, seems like there was a lot that went wrong there, as we're going to have a look at the gank mid lane as well.
Yeah, Superplex onto the Echo. Miru tries to flash away, doesn't bother trying to use his ultimate. But, I mean, that highlight isn't really a highlight of Renekton. It's more of like an anti-highlight reel for Ornn. Ooh, I like
So we're going to say that Dudu, based on that kill, he's now 1-1-0. Would you say that he's at Croconaw?
Yeah.
The second evolution of Totodile.
Okay.
He's not quite for Alligator yet, but he's probably up to Croconaw.
Is that actually his name?
Totodile, Croconaw,
really? I forgot it.
For Alligator, I believe.
Okay. I thought that you were going to go for Groudon.
Groudon. Maybe that can be like the 4th evolution. Yeah. That's like the true Godzilla.
Yeah, if he uses the Infernal skin. Yeah, that makes sense. When he casts Dominus. Yeah. It's like Drought.
Did you watch that Pokemon movie? I think it was like the 5th one or something. It had Flygon in it. It was super awesome. That one had like a gigantic Groudon in it. Basically Godzilla Groudon. It's exactly what you're talking about.
Okay. Okay. It sounds like I need to watch it. You know, I never got to watch the remake of Pokemon
I never watched
Mewtwo
it either, actually.
Strikes Back.
I was really looking forward to it, and then I completely forgot.
Yep, unfortunately, I did not have a VPN handy.
We would never do that anyway, because, you know, if it's illegal to watch it where we are, we're not going to watch it. That's just how it goes. Unfortunately, Sandbox, though, they're going to be able to keep control here of this bottom side. Have been able to do so the majority of this game. Currently 200 gold behind, but they don't care, because they have the Caitlyn, Ornn, and Azir. They're happy to scale infinitely. Even Braum is a fantastic scaling support, to be honest. So they have a lot of tools. Renekton's still on the top side, a Sandbox with 4 members bottom, and Ornn just chilling there in the mid lane, just trying to keep control of this area. Doesn't have a lot of magic resist, so it has to be a little bit careful around the Echo. This siege seems to be working. As the captive audience goes off, doesn't really do too much, and it looks like they will be able to take this turret, even if it does take a little bit of time. Youngjae actually going for it. Flashes on forward, Solar Flare. Connects onto Root, but he's able to get out of it. There's the flash forward, and he finally goes down the Renekton. Grabbing that kill, and now Dudu has found the backline. Is this Crocodile evolving as Gorilla will get swept up? And now for Alligator looking for Summit. The curtain has been called. As Summit, you fancy feet there, but gets tagged, and there's the last bullet. Parallel convergence. Summit just casually walks all the way through it, gets stunned through the Bellows Breath, and he's going to be going down here, ladies and gentlemen. Great knock up there onto Viper. However, Viper has a pouch full of bullets and puts one into the skull of the Forge Lord.
Yeah, and I mean, that was a very much needed victory right now for Hanwha Life. However, 50 seconds until the Cloud Dragon comes up. We'll see in the replay what ends up transpiring here. So, Sandbox with the TSM special, they want to lose their life over 500 gold. 250 of which is dispersed by proximity. Superplex coming out. Everyone on Sandbox that are the primary carries, Caitlyn and Azir, just both getting locked up instantly. Summit comes in, but he's really late to the party. He ends up getting a kill onto Lahens, but it just doesn't really matter. This is just not a worthwhile investment. Sandbox, they've made decisions like this pretty consistently throughout spring and summer, where their evaluation on what is a necessity at certain points in the game is just not really on point. Not on fleek, if you will.
I appreciate the fun. Shirley is going to have her eye poked. She will be taken down. Not after she does a bit of damage there to the outer turret in the mid lane. Cloud Drake available. It will be soul point here for Sandbox, but unfortunately will be Cloud Soul, so not necessarily the most high value. They are setting up for it. Facebreaker onto the Rift Scuttler. Fleek will be able to take that one down pretty comfortably. There is vision here for Hanwha Life, so they don't need to be too excited. The traps are making things a little bit difficult for them to get in. In fact, Slice invested there from Dudu. And now Mirror's thinking about trying to get in there. Youngjae just dives on forward. It's the Echo somehow that steals away the Dragon. Youngjae goes golden, avoids the Haymaker damage. Another pretty good Solar Flare, but it's not going to be enough to save the Polar Bear. Oh, God, that rhyme. That was unintentional, guys. I am so sorry.
That was, honestly, I feel a little bit defiled.
And I did it to myself, you know?
That was...
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Ooh. Now, Hanwha Life, they do deny the Cloud Dragon, which they actually have one of the best champions in the game for Cloud Dragon stacking, which is Echo. If he can get to 4 or 3 Cloud Dragons, his ultimate is obnoxious in extended late game team fights. So we'll see if they can actually manage to get up until that point. And so Soul Point denied here for Sandbox, but the problem is now 5 more minutes until something meaningful happens, and you take a look at all the champions in the game. Rabadon's Death Cap probably going to be completed by Fate by that point. Molten Edge going to be available for Caitlyn as soon as Ornn gets one more level. And Ornn has both of his own ornaments coming in that he didn't even have present at this team fight. He only had the Fortifire Cape. Horn comes out, knocks up Viper. There's just no way for Hanwha Life to take an actual legitimate team fight. The bottom one, where they managed to lock up Azir and Caitlyn, that is a pretty big fluke. That is not a normal occurrence, and team fights should not be viewed as if they're going to go that way inside of this game. It's going to be really hard for Hanwha Life to win.
Yeah. I completely agree. We'll see whether they can make the smoke and mirrors work, and whether Feraligatr is indeed going to be upon us, because the Renekton is sitting at 3-1-2, so he's past what we often talk about as being the Renekton test, but we just don't see comps like the one Sandbox has all that often anymore, right? We don't see the hard scaling, sacrifice the early game and just know that your composition is going to be better late game. And that's not even what happened in this game, right? It's been very, very close for a very long time. It's only 400 gold in it right now. Hanwha Life do have that slight edge, but they should have a much larger one. As Viper, captive audience, not thrown down just yet. Deadly Flourish, doesn't find the target. And Dudu spots on Fleek, but it looks like they're not going to be able to get anything done here either. And I love what Fate's done with his build. You already spoke about it, the Rabadon's Death Cap being gone for first. He's saying, I'm not even going to have a Luden's Echo. There's not going to be a way that I can have the wrong item as Viper. It's sniped there by the Caitlyn. And Molten Edge is already online. This is a very scary Sandbox right now.
Yeah, Caitlyn is just so strong. I really like that Root went for Rapid Fire Cannon second. I know that there's a lot of talk about Caitlyn items at different points in the game, but one of the things that you have to appreciate is just the utility of the item. And utility is something that it's really difficult sometimes to have conversations about, because it's about how practical an item's application can be in various game states or team compositions and whatnot. So in this one, Caitlyn just needs to be at a safe distance and ensure that the opponents can't really get onto her. And from that angle, her and Azir are just going to carry the game regardless, because everyone on Hanwha Life just needs to run into her. So she doesn't need a lot of damage, especially because Ornn is helping her get access to damage while retaining the utility via the Molten Edge ornament
Not to mention the fact that Viper has a static Shiv for some reason. There's going to be another Solar Flare right on top of Root, but Gorilla just puts up the door and says, Santa's got you, my friend. No worries there at all. So it's just an ultimate thrown out. and not too much given back in response. But yeah, I mean, that's a static shiv on the Jhin. That means that if Root has a rapid fire cannon proc, there is no way Viper can do anything about it unless he hits a deadly flourish. Like, nothing that he can do.
Well, 50 seconds until that Cloud Dragon is going to come up. We'll see if Summit ends up building a Knight's Vow or a Solari. Here in Korea, though, generally Orns like to sin. They like to build Stone Plate.
Or the Warmogs. Depends which one you want.
Okay, let's not get started. On Fleek's not even building Solari. Okay, so Sinners are out in force, Alice.
I mean, Solari would be the perfect third item.
Now, fortunately...
Absolutely right.
Here in the Death Realm, I have a very large supply of Holy Water.
Which is weird, because you're in the Death Realm. You wouldn't think that it'd be very prevalent over there. But I've been, you know, the Holy Water was definitely there.
We're friends. You know?
I get it. Well, Mirror's split pushing there towards the top side. Dudu also shoving in a wave towards the bottom lane, and that is going to mean that Sandbox have to discontinue their aggression. Pardon me. This might be that Mirror has to teleport towards this Drake, though, because it's now being taken completely uncontested. And Hanwha Life just say, yeah, Soul Point, yeah, you can have it. No worries.
I think that they're just giving it up. Yeah, they're just going to give it over. Rabadon's Death Crown in for Sandbox now as well, so... The items are just out of control right now for Sandbox. Don't look at the gold score at the very top and be like, yeah, Hanwha Life, they have 500 gold lead, close game. This game is not close at all. This is very, very heavily in Sandbox's favor right now. Their champions are worth so much more. Their items are so much better. The team composition is very Sandbox favored. It is so difficult for Hanwha Life to find an opening against this Sandbox team comp. Sandbox really have to blunder to lose this game.
Yeah, not to mention the fact that they have two very good Drakes as well, in the Ocean and the Mountain, especially for their composition. The Set and the Ornn get a lot out of Mountain Drake, and every ornament that they have is basically 1,000 gold. So you've got at least a 5,000 gold lead worth of stats that Sandbox has over Hanwha Life, regardless. And then their composition theoretically works better, and all that sort of stuff. So you're exactly right. This is not close, guys, and if Hanwha Life... It's so weird, right? Even if they continue to have a gold lead throughout this entire game, it's still a comeback victory if they manage to win.
Yeah. And right now, Hanwha Life, they're taking things pretty slow. Sandbox, I mean, they're fine to just keep cruising into their next items. Braum is going to be the only one that doesn't have an ornament. Although, I guess actually On Fleek as well is not going to be building an ornament. He built a... Bramble Vest, has a Ruby Crystal as well, and so a little bit of a lost opportunity right there. Not the end of the world, though.
Sometimes Boris gonna get you.
See if Summit... Yeah, sometimes Boris, he does come for them.
Summit just going to put his face into Miru, that of course didn't have anything set up for a stun. So the Echo is going to be absolutely fine. Thinking about trying to steal his blue buff, not going to be able to do so. Fate locks that one down. And Lahen's now going to get tagged. Peacemaker. Not going to find the Leona. So slight stalemate. 2.5 minutes until the Cloud Drake is up for Cloud Soul on Sandbox's side. Bit of value for a few of the champions here as Solar Flare comes out once again. Only gets a few slows as now On Fleek just trying to play Peel and gets the Leona right into the backline. Miru diving onto Root, but there's the Emperor's Divide just to create space, and he's free hitting now. Dudu having to run away. Miru doing exactly the same. There's no way that they can avenge their Volley Bear, and it looks like Sandbox are moving straight to the Baron.
Yeah, they're just going to go over towards... I mean, the Baron is very free to get right now. Volibear not there. They're going to clear out the mid-minion wave first. They don't want some sort of, like, counter-push response. And now they should just move over to the Baron. They have the Shurima turret here in mid lane. It's actually doing quite a bit of damage to Dudu. Couple hundred HP removed from him. He is going to be able to heal up a certain amount. Summit now acting as the gatekeeper,
the bouncer
to the river,
and there was vision. There was no way that Hanwha Life could actually get in there and capitalize on it, though, as Miru's going to take a consolation prize blue buff, and it feels like this game's over. LS, it just feels like there's just not going to be much that Hanwha Life are going to be able to do. They're going to be able to convert this Baron into a Cloud Soul, and then I mean, there's just too much. They just have too much.
Yeah. All of their items are just so strong right now. I think the Knight's Vow is going to come out on the Ornn, which is a nice thing to see. And we just take a look at how this fight transpires. Now, pay attention to the inability to get onto Root. They try to blow their whole load to get onto him and reach him, but he manages to get to safety, and as soon as Caitlyn's safe and she's able to just start free dealing against the enemy team, it's pretty much lights out. And we can see Jhin even had to cancel his curtain call because Ornn's able to reach him. While he's stationary trying to channel that ultimate ability, Ornn can basically just say, I need you to stop doing what you're doing. But then also, because of the terrain control offered by Ornn, Braum, and Azir, it's really hard for Jhin to get into range to actually damage anyone. So all of his melee hard engaged teammates are just basically on an island.
Not sure how, but Summit has done the most damage in the game on his team. That stat will probably change as we're going to have at least another team fight that Root should be able to get a bit of work done in, but very odd. I haven't necessarily been watching and assuming Summit has done more than anyone else. Is Youngjae going to get tagged up? Oh man, the crits are starting to come through now as Ace in the hole comes down. Viper has to tank it. He really didn't want to, but that volley bear could have died. There's Gorilla steps on the trap. But Sandbox just made sure that Hanwha Life can't be here to defend this inner turret, and they'll just extend their gold lead just that little bit further. It will be 1,000 gold, but remember guys, what we were talking about before, that's a lot more than that in practice. As now, Cloud Soul is going to be on top of everything, adding a lot of insult to that injury.
Yeah. Picked up by Sandbox. We're at 31.5 minutes in the game. We do have a reset coming in. Fate does not have his teleport available. Ends up recalling. Okay, you know, I had high hopes for Summit, but he actually built a Warmog. Yeah. So, you know, Boris strikes again.
Everything so far. Cloud Soul, Warmog.
Honestly, he is aggressively moving into South Korea. It is, and honestly, it's a bit of a problem.
You really need to start protecting your turf, dude. I don't know.
Yeah.
You are the lost shopkeeper. Maybe man. It's time to be found, you know?
Oh, man.
Need to do some rediscovery.
Well.
As Onfleek's got a lot of armor. He does have the Thorn Mail completed. I was actually not expecting him to actually complete that item. I thought Locket of the Iron Solari could have been a good option, but it looks like Gorilla is the one that's going to put that item together as the Aegis already. And Null Magic Mantle coming along also, so he should be getting there. We'll see. Is Viper going to take another ace to the hole? Ace to the hole? To the face. Ace in the hole to the face. Oh, it's a difficult day. Yep. As Summit, he's got over 4,000 health, so that's cool. Still don't know whether the Warmogs is the right choices. Onfleek procs the captive audience. Parallel Convergence looking for some sort of fight, but Summit doesn't care about it whatsoever. He is a very big boy right now. Youngjae looking for a potential flank. Tower goes down. The Azir not going to be a part of this one. As everyone just crowding in on top, and Viper is going to bear the brunt of it. Onfleek chasing after him. He's super fast. Is Youngjae going to get knocked up alongside Mirror? The Jhin eventually falls down as the Crocodile won't be able to kill the Caitlyn. And that is going to be one of the biggest stories here for this late game teamfight as Summit flashes forward on top of Lehens. That's a great knock-up. And even before the ace in the hole could come through, Lehens is going to fall down. And this, ladies and gentlemen, should be very close to the end of the game.
Yeah, I don't believe Echo and Electric Bear are going to be able to save this now. Okay, Electric Bear is going to... Oh no, he does not actually die.
Not bad.
Yeah. Pushes the minion wave back.
Yep, Summit tanking this one up pretty happily. Youngjae still taking a lot of damage, but Fate is frontlining on this. Azir gets a huge shield from the Shifting Sands thanks to that Rabadon's, but the Nexus is going to fall down, ladies and gentlemen, and Sandbox with a statement game one. Not looking like they were ever out of a chance to win this game. And the War of Attrition was won. Congratulations to Sandbox.
Yeah, I mean, basically, they go into that game, they have a really good draft, and all the laning phases play out about as expected, although Summit, obviously, with a very shaky one. That one not going super well, but Dudu didn't capitalize as much as he could have. That might sound strange to some people, given that he got the turret, he got a solo kill, and whatnot, but he didn't get as far ahead as he could have, given everything that was going on. The bot lane for Sandbox, really, really good stuff. They got all of the dragons, and This was one of the cleanest wins that I think that they probably had all split.
Yeah, I actually felt like it looked very, very inevitable. I apologize, ladies and gentlemen, for the cough. I just had a bit of a dry throat. I might just try and quench this with my beautiful Pog State cup. Absolutely wonderful. Water just tastes better out of a Pog State cup. And I would recommend that you buy our Pog State merchandise, but you can't. So I can't even chill. This is very upsetting. Back to Sandbox versus Hanwha, though, and I feel like you covered it, man. Like, it felt like coming out of that draft, there were a lot of expectations on Hanwha to make things happen in the early game, and they just weren't able to do it, right? And I felt like Youngjae really did suffer in that one. The 100% kill contribution from OnFleek dominating the early skirmishes on the set. And from there, I mean, it was just better jungler won, because there was so much on the shoulders of Youngjae, and he couldn't make anything happen.
Yeah. And things just really went their way from pretty much start to finish. They tried to get some stuff going, but with the way that Hanwha Life play, they're not really coordinated, and if Viper doesn't come online, the game is always just going to be doomed, because the tops and the mid laners, they just play as if it's solo queue. They endlessly just shove over and over. They take seemingly very arbitrary decisions in the mid game that obviously doesn't end up very well for them. And Miru, I mean, he did get that one solo kill onto Fate in mid-game, if you do recall, but he was never able to really do anything with it. And so, if they're going to draft team compositions like this, it's always just going to be a rough time. And remember, I mean, Viper and Lehends, they took the Jhin into the Caitlyn and then blinded the Leona and just walked into the Nightmare matchup.
Yeah.
So, they sort of did it to themselves. And even though in this highlight they ended up winning this team fight, we were talking about pretty much right away how it was a fluke and it's not a real team fight. But it was a much needed one, because otherwise the game could have ended a loss.
It looked like there was at least hope for Hanwha Life in that particular instance, as well as the fact that Dudu was managing to outplay Summit over and over again. But it just goes to show, right? I mean, I feel like Summit made so many mistakes this game, but it didn't matter. He was on.
Yeah. Sometimes that's just the way it is.
Sometimes you just get fully out-drafted.
But it's very worrying if you're a Hanwha Lights esports fan, because remember, Dudu was voluntarily handshaking trades that he should have lost. That is always alarming. So when you're measuring these trades, I feel like there's a lot of people that might not see the alternatives that could have existed if Orange just plays the fight differently. And it's like, well, wait a minute, why is Dudu opting into this? Doesn't he realize that he should actually die? And, well, I don't know. I guess not.
Yeah, I don't know. All I know is the set was absolutely gigantic, and Root was extraordinarily safe in the backline. As we can see, the Ornn not able to top the damage meters by the very end of the game. That, in fact, goes to the Azir from Fate in that mid lane. However, was still doing far more damage than the Renekton was, and Renekton's only job is to do damage. So, a little bit unfortunate for the top laner of Hanwha Life, and maybe we'll just see a little bit less sinning from them as we move into the next game. Or maybe we see more sinning out of Sandbox, and therefore it'll even itself out.
Sandbox.
That's what we really want to see. That's what I think.
This is going to be interesting. Let's see what happens when we come back, though.
We're going to have to go to a short break, ladies and gentlemen. When we get back, game number 2.